We are absolutely thrilled to welcome you to the 24th podcast episode of Let's Talk. A heartfelt thank you to our new followers for your support and encouragement. Our podcast is not just another conversation, it's a deep dive into the inspiring stories of our guests. If you're here to aspire success in your career, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to follow and subscribe to our channel. Without further ado, let's get started. It's Let's Talk, and I'm your host Aisha. Today, we are delighted to have Mr. Vishal Kulshrestha, GCC site leader at Alshaya Group, a seasoned technology and business leader with over 27 years of experience in building GCCs, scaling engineering organization, and driving enterprise transformation. He is also an advocate of an AI governance, future-ready talent, and operational excellence. He is also the author of acclaimed book Leadership, where he shares powerful lessons on leadership and organizational growth. So, join us as we explore the evolving world of GCC's AI driven transformation, leadership, and what it takes to build a high performance organization in the age of AI collaboration. So, we welcome you, sir.
Thank you, Aisha. Thank you so much for having me and the wonderful introduction.
Yeah, it's great having you. So, moving on to the first question. You have spent 27 years building high performance engineering teams, startups, offshore development centers, and GCCs from ground up. So, could you take us through your journey and share experience that shaped your leadership philosophy?
Yeah, good. So I started like my career from the problem of year 2000. You might be knowing or not knowing, but it was the biggest problem in year 2000, which is known as a Y2K. So I'm coming from that era, and where we were just trying to fix the computer problem to understand what is 2000 it is. Okay. And now we are living in an era where we are expecting computer to understand ourselves as a human and then do the activity the human are doing. So from the era where we were forcing computer to understand one ear, and to the era where we are asking computer to understand through the AI what human can do. So I have witnessed this entire journey. So I'm fortunate enough to the journey of starting from pager in 1992, 93, where like it was very fascinating that someone is sending you the messages, someone is having the pager, and then moving into the desktop era, and then getting the first internet connection, and then moving from desktop application to web application to mobile, and then the era of AR, VR, and now we are into the AI journey where we are expecting everything to be done by AI. So this is the journey I have, and then I think uh, across the technology spectrum, like whatever, even if you are doing with the desktop or doing with the mobile and now doing with the AI, one thing remains common is the human potential of using the technology. When we were into the desktop, people used so efficiently, and now we are into the AI era, where again it's a human potential which is driving this AI potential. And then from this leadership journey, I think many people have like leader should be the ideal one, leader should be the person who is doing everything and knowing everything. For me, leadership is a very simple thing. My philosophy is always as a leader, if you're able to influence someone, then it's a leadership, because in a leadership, one of the core thing is always you are always carrying certain goals, and these goals are shared one. For example, either you are working for team or you are working for organization, you have some shared goals, and then you are influencing people towards those shared goal, where they are aligned and they are seeing their personal goals are also achieving through shared goals. So one of the important philosophy or characteristics I believe is all about the influencing others. If, as a leader, if you have a capability of influencing others, then even if you don't know the subject, you don't know the technology, that's perfectly fine. There are people, there are experts who can do those things, but ultimately you are influencing. And then second thing which I A practice, as my philosophy is building the relationship. And building the relationship is not about like building friends on workplace, but building good colleagues at workplace, because everything is becoming a very transactional, and the relationship should not end it up into the transaction. And when the relationship part comes, I see relationship understanding each other background. When as a leader, when you're working with the people, people are, I believe, is the source of emotion. Every person has different aspiration. Every person has a different thought process. Every person is coming from the different background. So their driving factors are different. Their thinking are different. So as a leader, once you build the relationship, then people open up and then they share their background, they share their thoughts, they share their inspiration, and that helps you to drive the people. So when I say relationship, again, I'm repeating the same thing. It's not about building the friend, but understanding people background. But until unless you don't understand the people background as a leader, then you will not be able to use their potential. So that's my philosophy. And then at the end of the day, whether we were working into the desktop era or we were working into the AI era, it is always about the team. And then great leaders build a great team. And once they build a great team, those teams build the great business. So that's my thought.
You've come really a way long, so that was really an inspiring journey. So, moving on to the next question. GCCs have been evolved from cost centers to strategic innovation hubs. So, in your view, what separates a GCC that simplify delivers work from one and creates real business value and influences enterprise strategy?
So, I'll just go back a bit. I'll start with the big different thing. All GCCs, today we are seeing GCC. Earlier, those GCCs were called as a capital center or offshore development center. I think every GCC has a journey starting from the cost arbitrage. So companies in US, UK, Middle East, they opened their center in India just to save the cost and then utilize the talent to do the day-to-day execution. So that was the primary thing for any GCC to start. And then from capacity to we move to the capability. So we'll start having the talent. Now, this cost arbitrage or having a capacity is not becoming a big factor. The reason is not just the AI, but the kind of tools, technology, automation we have. Lot of execution is done by the tools. Lot of things are done by the AI. Now, this GCC evaluation is required where GCC is not just remain as a delivery or execution center, but how they are solving the problem of customer, whichever domain they are working on, whichever business they are in. For example, we are in retail. So our GCC is more focusing on how we can solve the problem or how we can more understand the customer's mindset in Middle East, what is driving them, what they do like. Because technology is always an enabler. Technology is not the core serving purpose. When we are delivering something from India, it's not about we are delivering a technology piece. It is more about what value we are delivering to our customer or to our teammates. Whatever piece we are building, is it really delivering any value to it? Is my customer is going to be happy? Is my conversion is going to be increased? Or is my order value is going to be increased? So it's all about the value. So the first differentiator is creating the value. The second differentiator comes the mindset. Most of the GCCs are driven by technology, and then they become the technology hub, which is perfectly fine. But ultimately, every GCC has to understand in what business they are. For example, in Alshaya Group, we are into the retail business. So even though our developer, they should understand how retail domain works. What are the common tactics into the retail domain? And now when they have the piece of technology, how they can solve the purpose of delivering whatever they are building in a form of product, in a form of support, in form of operation, whatever it is. But ultimately, value creation separate any GCC from the previous one, like where they were doing the execution, then to delivery, and then delivery value. So understanding, so I will just summarize, delivering value, understanding the business context, not just the technology, in what domain you are, how do you understand that domain? And then third is ultimately solving the customer problem or solving the colleagues problem or teammate problem. Other than that, I don't think like there is any other differentiator, because tools is available for everyone. AI is available for everyone. The difference is always the business context or business understanding.
That was really great one, sir. So you have emphasized that AI should begin with why rather than the technology itself. As enterprise accelerate AI adoption, what are the biggest governance and leadership challenges they must solve to ensure AI delivers measurable business outcomes?
So I think there's already a lot of information available onto the AI governance, what people do, what people should be doing, people should not be doing. And then many experts are working on to the guardrail, data security, customer data. But I'll just add the one different point. The point is, last year everyone was talking about the AI. So I always say this romance period is over, and then it's now time of marriage. And when you come into the marriage, there are commitment, there are responsibilities, there are accountability. So this is how I see the AI governance and the guardrails about it. So the first thing is again similar to the previous question. It's not about the AI, it's what you are using into the AI. It's always about how you are using AI to solve the business challenges. So what is your purpose of using the AI? I think that's where the major question is, because if you go in any organization, half of not half, I think 80 or 90% of automation projects are labeled as AI. Many people doesn't understand that what kind of application or what kind of solution they should be building into the AI. I think nowadays, even for simple database query, people are using the AI. So whether like to use AI for database query or for reasoning, I think that's where the governance comes. So first layer of governance is on to filtering the use cases of the AI, like how those use cases are going to solve the business purpose. So that is the first thing should come into the governance. The second is another big challenge, uh, which is the each and every organization, Aisha, is all has its own operating model. Organizations are in market from last 50 years, 60 years. Your first question. Like I have seen this era from pager to AI. Similarly, organizations have seen the era from like in stores they were writing the bills by pen on bill book. Now everything is getting delivered onto the WhatsApp. So organizations have also seen those transition, and every organization has their own maturity model. Now how to fit AI into that maturity model or operating model is a bigger task, because AI is not just another tool or technology. It requires a complete redesign of your operating model. So AI governance should also bring thinking of how you are going to redesign your organization, how you are going to redesign your workflow, how you are going to redesign the job profiles. Otherwise, this AI plug and play on bits and pieces will definitely increase the investment, but will not give you the proper yield out of it. And then the last thing comes, which is a bigger challenge in any GCC or in any organization. And on C level, you will always listen, okay, we want X level of investment, or we want this much amount of investment into the AI, what you are going to return out of it. And then most of the senior leader ask, okay, how many people you are going to reduce if we implement the AI? or what is the efficiency you will bring into the AI. And then more the biggest misconception about AI is it's just optimizing or just minimizing the process. That's not. Like AI can give you the different channels of sales, different channels of marketing. So that's where like how you are measuring the impact. The measuring the impact means like ROI may not be always a direct return. For example, like you have invested $100 and you'll get the $150. That may not be the case. The measurement should also be done into customer experience, like how your customer are experiencing with your product, whether they are seeing you digitally or in stores, how they are experiencing you, what is the experience they are carrying, and then how you are reaching into the hyper personalization, or how you are reaching out to the customer with the more personalized values, more personalized offers. So these are the different area of measurement which any organization should build it around the AI governance. So one is the purpose, what purpose you are trying, and then second thing is the operating model, and third thing is how you are going to measure the performance of your AI implementation. That should be the part of governance. And obviously data security, these are the baseline layer which you can't compromise. But onto the leadership level, these three things if are not clear, then definitely it will become a challenge, because most of the time we are focusing on okay, this access should be given, this access should not be given, these are the guardrails, but we don't focus on to the purpose, operating model, and how you are going to measure the performance of AI. So these are my like view on to the AI governance, and people should to apply it.
It was really a great view of AI, sir. So, moving on to the next question. You have spoken about the importance of GCCs, startups, academics, technology, so partners working together. How important are these collaborations in building future ready enterprises, and what qualities do you look for in innovation or in technology partner at Alshaya Group?
So see, everything you can't do your own. Okay, everyone has their own expertise. Okay, and then I always feel it's a collaboration, and I always advocate about enterprise like us. We have business challenges, we have business problems, and we are working in field, we are working in market, so we understand customer. And that's where like in partnership, I feel like whether it's a startup or any technology company or product company, they have their own domain expertise, so they are again part of it. They, for example, someone is working in AI, someone is working into the store experience, someone is working, let's say, just optimizing your sites, optimizing your tools. And then the thing I always see is the academia, where our colleges, institutions are educating the next generation. Definitely, those generation are going to work with us or work with any organization. So I see this triangle, and then this triangle has to work more uh, in a collaboration way, where everyone, rather than competing or working in silo, everyone is coming together and focusing on okay, what are the challenges which we are seeing into the market. Why, for example, you might have heard what we say it's a fast fashion. Fast fashion means every 3 months, every 6 months, fashion is changing. And then you might see in India, let's say the Judio, or many people are buying from the Shein, which is an online platform in China. So that's where you will see, or the Instagram stores where you will see a lot of new dresses are coming. So this is how this business is changing. Now, people, or for example, startups or partners have their domain expertise. They can support business like us to solve those problems. And same time, these academia colleges, they are also a partner. They should evolve into the education to solve these problems rather than just having the technology. understanding business domain, understanding the business aspect. And if these three work together, I think we can build a great ecosystem.
That was really great, sir. So, at SNSI Hub, we are on a mission to build 1,000 AI startups over the next decade. So, if you could challenge these founders with one enterprise problem worth solving, what would it be? And what advice would you give them to build solutions that enterprise genuinely adapt?
Uh, I think most of the enterprise have a common challenge, and that challenge is about the adaptability. So it's never ever about the technology or the product or the solution. So, like founders or startups, I see like two different parts. Okay. One side, the enterprise, other side, the startup and founder. They are very passionate about their product. They are very passionate about the technology. And they build great products. You might have seen uh, uh, new innovation, true innovations are coming. But as soon as they reach to the enterprise, many of the startups, many of the products get failed. The problem is not about the technology. The problem is when you're building a product, when you're building a solution, you are not thinking about how it is going to adopt in an organization. You may have built up a very innovative tool, but the problem is organization is already running, and in this running organization they are already doing a business. If you go and say like your the way you're working is bad or needs improvisation, maybe it's not going to be well received. But ultimately, if the product has no adoption, people are not adopting it. So I think the entrepreneurs or founder should more focus on to the adoption, should more focus on to how they are going to scale just beyond the POCs or beyond the demo. They should be thinking about once it is going to roll out across the organization, how it is going to be adopted by the different user. So again, I am coming from the background like the behavioral aspect, how people are going to perceive it. Are they going to see any value? Whatever they are doing today, because ultimately with your product, with your solution, you are going to challenge them, right? Take my product, take my approach. But people will always feel apprehension until unless they are not seeing value out of it. So adoption remains the key, and that's where like I want to challenge all these startups or all the leaders. Think on more onto the adoption, and the second thing is how you are going to scale. Because building a POC, building a product, a demo product is a simplest thing in my view. But scaling the product on a larger enterprises require a different kind of skill set. So that's where my thought is.
I'm sure it would be very challenging and insightful for all the viewers. So, moving on to a fun rapid fire round. So, one capability every future GCC must build.
It's just a curiosity. Every GCC should have the curiosity. Their leaders should have the curiosity. That's the one thing. Technology and other aspects will keep learning, but every GCC must be curious about the GCC leader. GCC people should be curious about why we are doing this. How the market. For example, you are sitting in India in GCC. Your headquarters is in US. How customers are behaving over there. So curiosity is the important thing. GCC work is not like, okay, get it executed. GCC work should always be why we are doing and what benefit we are going to get. So for me, it's a curiosity.
Great. AI should optimize or amplify.
Both, but ideally it should amplify because optimization is always whatever you have. So, for example, today you are taking 1 hour to do a one task. You can optimize by 40 minutes or something. But Amplify
Such as.
opens the new ventures. Amplify opens the new line of products, new things. So one should try for Amplify.
One enterprise process you'd redesign from scratch.
That should be the decision making. decision making driven by the data. At this moment, most of the enterprise decision making process is driven by the hierarchy, driven by the people, very less supported by the data. Now we have the power of AI, automation, and everything. So if given opportunity, I'll define the decision making process.
Okay. One skill every graduate should master.
Uh, I think two skills, learning and unlearning. So first is learning how to learn, because the shelf life of skill is consistently reducing. Whatever you are learning may not be applicable after 6 months. And unlearning is really important nowadays because things are frequently changing. So maybe like whatever you have learned last year or 2 years back, that has to be unlearned. So unlearn, learning and unlearning.
Great. One technology trend you're most excited about.
AI agents, the way AI agents are evolving, they are getting trained. They even now, and in certain cases, they are taking the decision. So I think I am very excited about the AI agent, and my excitement is not just related to the AI agent, but ultimately what human agents are going to do when most of the things will be done by the AI agent. So that's the fascinating part for me.
Wonderful one, sir. Thank you for joining us today. It was really an inspiring thoughts of yours, and I'm sure all our viewers would have gained a lot of valuable insights from you. Until next time, this is Aisha signing off. Thank you.
Thank you.